Before we talk about this irregular, very complicated bone, let's talk about the meaning of the name sphenoid. Oid at the end tells you it's like something. And what is it like? It's wedge-like. Here's a view of the skull, an internal view of the skull, and you can see the sphenoid bone in yellow. The sphenoid bone articulates with every other bone in the skull. So it articulates with the frontal bone, the ethmoid bone, the two parietal bones, the two temporal bones, and also with the occipital bone. So it is essentially wedged in between all the other bones of the cranium. Hence, it is referred to as the wedge-like bone, the sphenoid. Now let's place the sphenoid bone within the skull, and we'll isolate the sphenoid bone. And unfortunately, I couldn't Photoshop away the ethmoid bone or that wire, but we'll pretend that ethmoid bone is not there and talk about the different parts of the sphenoid bone. The sphenoid bone has been described as being like a butterfly, like a flying creature, because it has two pairs of wings. You'll see right behind the ethmoid bone, we would have the body of this flying creature. And then we have wings extended from the body, and we have a pair of greater wings first, and then we have a pair of lesser wings. And we also have the landing gear, so to speak, of this flying insect, the legs, if you will. And these would correspond to what are called the pterygoid processes. Pterygoid means like wings. So everything about this bone is wings, essentially. Since repetition is always a good idea when you're studying anatomy, let's take another look at the same parts using this plastic sphenoid bone. Now we can see the body unobstructed by the ethmoid bone. And here we have the greater wings. And here are the lesser wings. And we should note that the greater wings will contribute to the wall of the orbit. And in between the lesser wings and the greater wings, we have a feature which is referred to as the superior orbital fissure. Here are the pterygoid processes. If you look at the base of the pterygoid processes, you'll find that there are some openings. First, we have at the base where the pterygoid processes attach to the body. We have a canal, which is referred to as the pterygoid canal. Also over here, lateral and superior to the pterygoid canals, we have an opening. It's a round opening, and we're going to refer to this round opening as the foramen rotundum, which essentially translates into round opening. Let's look again at our isolated sphenoid bone, and this time look at it from a superior view. We can identify the optic canals. Connecting the two optic canals, there is a groove, and this groove is referred to as the chiasmatic groove, also known as the optic groove. It's hard to see in this specimen from this perspective. At the posterior tips of the small wings, the two processes at these tips are referred to as the anterior clinoid processes. Posterior to these anterior clinoid processes, there are processes associated with a part called the dorsum celli, and these processes are referred to as the posterior clinoid processes. Now, the clinoid implies it's like something. This is a subtle and kind of whimsical way of describing these processes. If it's like a bed, how are these processes suggesting a bed? Well, if you look at all four of the processes together, they're kind of like bedposts. So that's the reason they're called clinoid processes. Let's zoom in and note again the superior orbital fissure. And then inferior to it, we have the foramen rotundum. If we just look at an isolated great wing, we can note the foramen ovale and the foramen spinosum. One of the most notable features we'll see on the body is something called the sella turcica, which translates into Turkish saddle. Now, why is it called the Turkish saddle? Well, here is a lithograph, servant leading a horse, which happens to have a Turkish saddle. It's dressed with a Turkish saddle. And notice that this Turkish saddle, of course, has a seat, but the front and the back of the saddle is very prominent. In other words, the front of the saddle is much larger than what you would see, for example, in a Western or English saddle, and the back of the saddle is very high also. If we return to our plastic sphenoid bone, and again identify the sella turcica, we can identify the parts of this sella turcica, this Turkish saddle. First of all, the part that would correspond to the front of the saddle is referred to as the tuberculum selli, and the part that would correspond to the seat is the hypophyseal fossa, also known as the pituitary fossa. And then finally, the back of the saddle is going to be referred to as the dorsum selli. The significance of these names is that the tuberculum selli simply is stating that this is the swollen part, the tubercle of the saddle, the tuberculum selli. The fossa is a depression, and this depression is going to accommodate the pituitary gland, which is also known as the hypophysis. Hence, it could also be referred to as the hypophyseal fossa. And then finally, the back of the saddle, the dorsum is the back. The dorsum of the saddle is the dorsum selli. And to get a different perspective on the pterygoid processes, let's look at an inferior view of the skull. So here we can see the two pterygoid processes. These wing-like processes do have a pair of wings. One wing is a lateral wing, and the other wing is a medial wing. So what you have is the lateral pterygoid plate and the medial pterygoid plate. And notice how they're raised up and separated, kind of like the way you would see a pair of wings of, let's say, in a butterfly or some insect which can raise its wings. So they are wing-like. Now, the last thing we'll note is something you really can't see unless you cut through the sphenoid bone, which is done here in this sagittal section. So here is our sphenoid bone, and here is our sella turcica, but we've cut through the sphenoid bone, and you can see in the body of the sphenoid bone we have a sinus, and this is referred to as simply as the sphenoid sinus. It's one of the paranasal sinuses. And again, down in the description below, you could find a link to a quiz that you can take to see how much of this material you remember. Finally, here is my assistant, Apollo. I put the word assistant in quotation marks. The bell that you might hear ringing sometimes in the background, well, that's my assistant